The series starts with a couple enjoying a private moment, but their peace is broken by a sudden crash nearby. They investigate and learn that a satellite has fallen to Earth. Despite his girlfriend's warning about potential radiation, the boyfriend disregards her caution and takes the satellite with him. Soon after, the military arrives, tracking the satellite's signal to that location, only to find it missing. Their search leads them to a remote town, where they encounter a terrible scene of dozens of dead bodies. Suddenly, an old man appears before the military convoy, but as they rush to assist him, one of the soldiers begins convulsing and exhibiting strange behavior before dying painfully. Moments later, another soldier meets the same fate. Meanwhile, NSA Director Beater receives alarming updates from General Manchek about a deadly infectious outbreak, leading to a strong response. The town is quickly quarantined. Following wildfire protocol, Manchek assembles a team of specialists, including Dr. Stone, an expert in bioengineering, Dr. Angela, a former biologist and close friend of Stone, Army Major William, a virologist specializing in infectious diseases, Dr. Chow, a microbiologist, and Dr. Charlene, a pathologist. Their mission: to uncover the origins of the infection before it's too late. They quickly inform the team about how serious the situation is and explain that they need to figure out where the virus code named Andromeda came from by staying in the lab. However, Manchek has kept a major piece of information from them. The satellite actually belongs to a project called Scoop, which only he and only NSA President Beater know about. In fact, even the American president isn't aware of it. During the team meeting, Dr. Stone senses that something isn't right with the situation. Why would the military be involved in NASA's operation? And why was NASA handling a satellite that ended up crashing? Manchek refuses to provide any answers. However, a local news reporter named Nash learns about this secret operation through his source, which could be a significant story for him. So, he immediately begins investigating. Manchek finds out about Nash's informer and orders Colonel Ferris to keep an eye on Nash to prevent the information about Project Scoop from leaking to the media. But Director Beater is one step ahead. He tracks down Nash's informer and have him assassinated before the information can be revealed. Now, they're watching Nash closely too. The wildfire team goes into a town filled with dead people to retrieve the satellite. There's nobody alive, just bodies lying around. Looking at them, it seems they died suddenly without realizing it. Surprisingly, they come across a burnt body and another one with cuts. After watching CCTV footage, they realize the virus not only kills, but also makes people take their own lives. What's even more shocking is that the victim's blood turns into dust. They discover a baby girl alive in the deserted town. Taking the satellite and the girl, they find an old man who's unaffected by the unknown Andromeda virus, which doesn't even affect animals. Before the situation turns into a pandemic, they decide to detonate the town with a nuclear bomb. The satellite team and the survivors check into a top-secret lab to study the Andromeda virus. The lab is equipped with advanced technology and strict cleansing procedures to prevent any leaks or escapes of the virus. Dr. Stone informs everyone in the lab about an emergency plan. There's a small nuclear reactor beneath the lab. If there's a dangerous infection outbreak, this reactor can be activated to eliminate all the infections within 15 minutes. It can only be turned off using William's passkey fingerprint. Before the news reaches the president through the media, the secretary needs to share this information. Now, the president faces a tough decision to nuke Piedmont Town to prevent the infection spread. However, this puts the president in a dilemma due to ongoing elections and previous approval for deep ocean mineral mining, which drew criticism from environmentalists and opposition. Nuking the town could be seen as nuclear testing, contradicting their stance against such tests in other countries. The team examines a satellite and notices Andromeda inside it, which prevents them from touching, or else they would easily collapse. Another important point to mention is that this isn't a satellite for communication or surveillance. Instead, it's a container for biological materials. This means it wasn't accidentally contaminated. Manchek is definitely hiding something, but they're too pressed for time to investigate further. During their examination, they discover a black substance on the vessels. Upon analysis, they find its molecular structure resembles buckyballs. In scientific terms, buckyballs are cage-like structures made of 20 hexagons and 12 pentagons of carbon atoms. These can only be created using advanced synthetic bio-nanotechnology, a technology which is light year ahead from current human capabilities. This black substance maybe was carrying Andromeda within it like a shell, and somehow, this thing might have collided with the satellite, causing it to crash on Earth. After running tests on the animals from Andromeda, scientists found even more strange things. They discovered that anyone who touches Andromeda can't survive for more than 10 seconds. What's even weirder is that the Andromeda bioagent doesn't spread to dead people. This unique bioagent, the first of its kind in human history, led everyone to believe it must be from extraterrestrial origin. It doesn't have any DNA structure known by human and mutates rapidly, which is why it didn't harm the animals at first. Now it's spreading through animals in nearby areas. A sheriff, influenced by Andromeda, enters a cafe and starts shooting randomly, eventually taking his own life. Upon further investigation, it's found that Andromeda is an airborne microorganism that enters the bloodstream through the lungs. It then clots the blood, causing immediate death. Even if someone survives the blood clots, Andromeda takes control and eventually leads them to self-destruction. After understanding everything, Dr. Stone needs to learn about Project Scoop. So, he reaches out to Nash with the help of a lab guard who can bypass the security firewall. From Nash, he finds out that the army has surrounded the quarantine area for some unknown reason, possibly planning something significant. Additionally, he discovers that Manchek was involved in Project Scoop, which deals with bioweapons. Now fully aware of the situation, Dr. Stone decides to confront Manchek. Without wasting any time, they all confront Manchek together. With no other option, Manchek finally admits to being involved in Project Scoop. It turns out that NASA had detected a singularity in its solar system a few years ago, causing a distortion in time and space. This event led to the discovery of a wormhole, which physicists believe could serve as a portal for traveling between galaxies. Project Scoop's mission was to investigate this phenomenon and gather samples of alien life forms. When the satellite neared the wormhole, it shut down suddenly, causing the satellite to lose control and crash. This event sparked theories suggesting it could be alien life. However, there's a puzzle. Apart from its container shell carrying the Andromeda bioagent, its materials are found on Earth. Even though the technology to create it is far ahead in the future, the president is more puzzled after these observations. He debates whether to nuke the town or not. He feels pressured to act before Andromeda spreads further. Dr. Stone requests more assistance from the president until the experiment results on how Andromeda spreads are known. But the president is running out of time as his situation worsens. Some soldiers become infected after an eagle places a dead rat infected with Andromeda near them. This leads to all of them being infected and under the control of the Andromeda bioagent. They begin killing each other, showing that even dead organisms can carry infections from now. One soldier overwhelms the others, leading his convoy straight to the same military base and carrying out a suicide attack. Nash tries to capture this event on camera to report it, but he gets captured by the soldiers. Meanwhile, the aircraft reaches the altitude to drop the nuclear bomb. Luckily, they finally get a breakthrough in testing the Andromeda virus, discovering that it thrives on ultraviolet light. An increase in carbon dioxide by 100% accelerates its growth even more, meaning it won't be killed by nuclear radiation, but will spread even faster. Dr. Stone contacts the president urgently. The pilot is about to drop the bomb when the president calls off the attack just in time. But as the aircraft returns, the pilot loses control suddenly, stops breathing, and the nuclear missile disarms itself automatically. The pilot tries desperately to eject it, but nothing works, and the aircraft begins to disintegrate slowly, causing the missile to detach. A nuclear missile crashed down and completely wiped out Piedmont Town. The impact was felt from very far away. The wildfire team and the president were shocked beyond belief. They wondered how this could happen. After examining the pilot's footage and the way the aircraft disintegrated, they concluded that Andromeda was behind it. It had mutated again and gained the ability to consume tough materials like nylon. The team was puzzled by how far it had spread from Piedmont Town. When they learned about a military suicide attack because of a dead rat, Charlene recalled a burnt corpse they had seen during the town inspection. They realized that Andromeda have evolved through mutation and spread via carbon smoke, which affected the animals. The troubling news was that the nuclear detonation made Andromeda spread even faster. Thousands of dead animal bodies were found everywhere. To prevent the infection from spreading through infected and uncontrolled animals, the military had to kill flying birds with chemicals. In the meantime, Nash managed to send the video of the incident to his boss. When Nash was later arrested, his boss threatened the secretary of the president to release him using that video. He warned that if Nash wasn't let go, he would make the video public and expose the situation. However, before the boss could carry out his threat, the secretary was unfazed and ordered Colonel Ferris to get rid of Nash right away. Without wasting time, Colonel Ferris framed Nash for terrorism, mentioned a mysterious bag, and took him to a strange location with it. But Nash, being a reporter, quickly realized something was off. That's why he loosened a nearby fire extinguisher, causing the pilot to lose visibility and forcing an emergency landing of the helicopter. In the attempt to escape Nash, the soldier is about to shoot him, but he is killed in the helicopter. This suggests that the bomb was placed in the bag to kill Nash. In the facility, they start focusing on how Andromeda attacks. They quickly figure out that when Andromeda can't clot the victim's blood, it enters the victim's brain and causes a hemorrhage. This makes the victim behave violently and ultimately leads to their death. But the big question is, why didn't the sheriff become violent before reaching the cafe, despite being infected? Also, why were the baby and old man not affected by Andromeda? After reading the sheriff's post-mortem report, it's revealed that the victim had acidosis due to diabetes. The old man regularly took aspirin because he was an alcoholic. That baby was also experiencing stomach pain, causing an increase in carbon dioxide in the body. The common factor among these three cases was their acidic body nature, which made them immune to Andromeda. Andromeda can typically exist in a certain acidity range common in humans, but these three individuals had highly acidic systems at that time, allowing them to survive. When the sheriff's acidity decreased, he succumbed to Andromeda. However, they couldn't alter humans' acidic nature because prolonged exposure could be deadly. Upon electron-level scanning, they found Andromeda isn't a single organism, but a large one that divides into many parts, each capable of surviving independently despite their differences. For example, in the case of humans, their organs. Once again, Dr. Stone conducted the same series of tests and eventually made a breakthrough. He managed to destroy Andromeda cells, bringing him joy. However, his happiness didn't last long. When he tried the experiment on another batch of Andromeda cells, it had no effect at all. This left him completely puzzled, wondering how this could happen. Upon further investigation, they discovered that Andromeda cells can not only adapt to their environment, but also communicate with each other. This raised the question, despite being separate, how are they connected? Understanding this, Charlene became more alert. It meant that Andromeda cells are intelligent creatures like humans and have its own consciousness. So the Andromeda cells communicated other of its cells to adapt, so that they can kill every people in every possible way. This is why initially only humans were affected, but then animals became infected, then nylon-based materials, and finally birds were infected. Now, Andromeda has been detected spreading through wind currents near rivers, heading straight for Los Angeles. Andromeda is doing everything so that it can spread more rapidly. Before Andromeda spreads everywhere, the president quickly tells the international airport to close. Charlene also warns her family to move far away. Meanwhile, Nash is stuck in a deserted area, facing hunger and thirst. Luckily, he gets a ride, but Colonel Ferris finds out Nash is alive and orders to shoot him on sight. Adding to the trouble, there was a dispute over mining which President approved it. The environmentalists have taken control of the ship. If their demands aren't met, they'll blow up the ship where mining was planned. Then Chow is surprised when he found pattern on black container holding Andromeda. He quickly realizes there's a hidden message inside the container because the pattern is actually a computer code. After deciphering the computer code, they discovered a 6-digit number, the phrase Bacillus infernus, and an unknown symbol. Dr. Stone realizes that since this message was encoded in a human computer code, and since Andromeda came through a wormhole connecting time and space, it might be a message from humans in the future. It's possible that the message coincidentally collided with the satellite and spread through the town as it crashed. Maybe people from the future are trying to warn them about something that doesn't exist yet in their time. Even though they can't understand the meaning of the number and symbol, Bacillus infernus is an extremely rare bacteria found only in thermal vents deep in the sea, in a single location worldwide. Charlene recalls that this bacteria's structure is unique, surviving solely on sulfur. Therefore, she concludes that maybe the bacteria's acidic nature could destroy the Andromeda virus. Interestingly, the acidity of this bacteria isn't harmful to humans. The final conclusion they reached was that maybe people from the future wanted to prevent them. The president, who approved the mining industry to operate in the same place where the bacteria was found, might have endangered the bacteria's existence. If mining started in the future, the bacteria could become extinct, leaving them with no source to fight against Andromeda. Upon realizing this, they urgently requested the president to provide the same bacteria sample to evaluate their theory. Initially, the president couldn't believe their time travel theory, but he had no other choice. The situation worsened when a large group of eagles, under Andromeda's control, attacked some army men deployed there, resulting in casualties. Additionally, Colonel Ferris, with orders from NSA, secretly detained Charlene's family before leaving city, for unknown reasons without the president's knowledge. Meanwhile, after testing the bacteria sample, their theory proved to be correct, as the bacteria effortlessly destroyed Andromeda. Right away, the mass production of antidote begins. But there's a new problem. The Andromeda virus mutates once again, posing a threat to aquatic life and potentially spreading to the nearby city within hours. Meanwhile, Dr. Stone, upon reviewing the pilot's footage more closely, makes a significant discovery. He realizes that they underestimated Andromeda. It's capable of thinking and communicating like humans. When the pilot hesitated to drop the bomb in the contaminated zone, the Andromeda virus cells in the lab alerted other cells in advance. Consequently, the virus cells attacked the pilot, causing the nuclear bomb to detonate, facilitating the rapid spread of Andromeda with the help of nuclear radiation. In response, Charlene immediately begins destroying all the samples in the lab to prevent the Andromeda cells from informing other cells about the cure they are developing. Meanwhile, Colonel Ferris's soldiers try to track down Nash and assassinate him. The soldier quickly gets infected by Andromeda, while Nash manages to escape just in time. Meanwhile, a team led by General Manchek prepares the first batch of the antidote to fight against Andromeda. They spray it in the infected area with their team. However, Andromeda attacks the lab after discovering the cure. The breach sensor is destroyed, triggering an automatic lockdown and self-destruct sequence. In a panic, Cho accidentally damages the self-destruct panel. If they can't stop it, Andromeda will spread rapidly due to radiation. Meanwhile, due to the lockdown, Andromeda cells are slowly penetrating Charlene's protective suit, but thankfully, she's unharmed so far. In this dire situation, she reveals a big secret. The NSA kidnapped her family to safeguard a sample of Andromeda for the future, blackmailing her for their safety. They have already left with last sample of Andromeda cells. Despite everything, their priority now is to stop the lab from self-destructing. Now there's only one way to reach the control panel, which is up high. Stone and William head up through the exhaust vent, but when William's grip weakens, he starts to slip. Knowing he's about to fall into radioactive water, he passes his passkey to Dr. Stone before he falls to his death. When Cho joins them, he realizes they need William's fingerprint to stop the self-destruction. So, despite the danger, he jumps into the radioactive water, cuts off William's finger, and gives it to Dr. Stone. Chu sacrifices himself for the country. Stone doesn't have time to mourn. He rushes to the upper level and deactivates the self-destruct, preventing a disaster and saving Charlene. Meanwhile, the bacteria begin to eradicate Andromeda's presence everywhere. Nash escapes by trapping a soldier in a deadly trap. Eventually, he is also rescued, but there's still a major climax in the movie. After attending the funeral for his friends on the wildfire team a few days later, Stone tells the media about what happened. To quickly wrap up loose ends and keep the secret of the last sample, Beater secretly kills General Manchek and Colonel Ferris. Now, after unknown amount of time, the government and high-ranking officials hide the virus last sample by sending it to a satellite orbiting Earth. The most shocking thing is the numbers and symbols on the container match those in the encrypted message sent from the future, indicating that the present virus originally came from this same sample. The virus might have traveled through time after a wormhole opened up, going back in time and causing destruction. Humans are to blame for everything that's happened, and people from the future were trying to warn them not to repeat the same mistake. Unfortunately, they didn't understand, and now there's an endless, infinite time loop where the virus keeps going back in time, causing destruction on Earth each time. The virus originally came from a satellite in the present, sent by people from the future. However, those future people got the sample from people in the past, who hid the last sample in space. This creates a time travel paradox where nobody can ever find out where the virus truly originated. The story concludes with this surprising twist. It took me a whole week to create this video, so if you enjoyed it even a little, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more sci-fi time travel content. Thank you.